Alright, so the brass has had a chance to dry now and got it all rinsed off. So I basically let it sit in that solution for about an hour, and I stirred it every 10-15 minutes. And it turns out looking pretty good. Like I said before, you don't. This is a process I'll go through. What I would recommend if you're just starting into loading, you don't want to go out and buy a tumbler right away, because some of them can be costly, especially if you want to go stainless. But for the most part, you can get brass pretty darn clean, unless you're doing some real high precision loads with just what I showed earlier. So I'll get a tumbler here probably next week, but for now I know the brass will come out pretty good, and you can agree with that. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna start through the basic 9mm reloading process. We're gonna do this fairly quickly, and I'm not gonna break down every single detail about it, but I'm just gonna try to help everybody get a better understanding of the process and what it takes. So one of the first things you'll need to buy is a set of dies. Every caliber you'll reload will have their own die set. I prefer RCBS for most of my dies. But you get Lee sets. Lees are cheaper, but really not by much. But they also come with an extra die, which I'll get to here in a second. So these are your 3 dies you have. You have 3 or 4 different steps in this process of reloading just basic pistol calibers. So you have this die here, which these are threaded. Hornady uses a bushing system, so I'll show you about that here in a minute. But first die is to decap, deprime, and resize the brass. Second, after you get all those done, you'll go through with this die, put it in, and this opens up the case mouth ever so slightly. So if you see, I got 115 grain Hornady Hap. It's one of my favorite bullets. I'm gonna be making one of my favorite loads here, and you can see, get a different one. The bullet doesn't sit on top of that case very well because it's resized. So what this die does is bells open the mouth just slightly so you can get the bullet to sit in there, and then it aids in your reloading process. So when you're using the third die, the seating die, and it pushes the bullet down to its correct length, it sits in there, and that's just easier. If not, you're gonna end up crushing the case. So like I said, third die seats, and with Hornady and RCBS and a lot of other die systems, they use a seat and crimp die all in one. So that's what this is. So crimping versus non-crimping, that's a debate you'll have to come up with on your own. I crimp my semi-auto rounds, which is all I make, so I crimp everything. Now, what I was saying with Lee, they come with a 4-die set, and they crimp on a separate die. So you'll do all 3 of these process, push the bullet to its correct length, and then you'll go back through, put a new die in, and crimp them all. And I like that way too, because sometimes getting these crimp and seat dies all set up perfectly is kind of a pain, and you can't guarantee that it's not as consistent. So that's a good way to go. The die is usually about $20 per caliber, and you'll need one for every caliber you want to load. So here in a second, I'm going to put this camera up stationary and show you. I got some rounds over here that are primed and ready to be loaded, all belled, but I'm going to use a few of these and kind of show you the process and how everything works. So let me go ahead. Let's slap this camera up, and I might not have it set right as soon as I put it up. So give me 1 second here. And so after you deprime your cases, let me go ahead and just show you. I'll put one in and deprime. So I'm going to take this, put it in my press. It sits down in there, and you turn it to lock it in. And You'll need a shell holder for each caliber you load. I'm going to prime. Let me get one that's not ready. Slide that in there. Go up. Pull it out. I'm going to do that again. That die's not set right. You must not have got it right. There we go. So must have backed up the stem here. So the stem you can get with your when you're adjusting your dies, how far the stem comes down. So it pushed out the primer and it resized the case back to the specs it should be. So we'll do that. Take out the seating die and then put in the belling die. Put that down in there. Give it a turn. Take that same case. It's hard to do with one hand. Put that up in there. Take it out. Like I said, that's going to open up the case just enough so the bullet will sit down in there, and when you actually go to seat, it won't crush the case. So let's leave that case and that bullet out. And set mine. And we'll put that there. Next is to prime the case. And we won't be using that for this process. What I'm going to do is, if you got the Hornady lock and load set, or you can buy a different hand primer. There's different ones. This is the Hornady version. Let me go ahead and set this up on this tripod and I'll show you how it works. So you'll want, what I like about the Hornady, they use the same shell holder that your press does, so you don't have to buy like Lee's. I think RCBS uses a different style of shell holder, but I could be wrong on the RCBS part. So what you do is slide that down here, and you go ahead and slide in your case, just like that. You'll open up your tray, and then you'll dump out some primers on here. So the way I do it is I just get however many I'm gonna get out. I'll just do 10 for now. Flip it over and just kind of give it a shake until they're all flipped upright, so you can see the right way they go. The smooth side wants to be down, and that's what this tray is designed to do. It's designed to flip them over when you shake. So we'll go ahead and put this back on. Now this has got kind of a more edge here, so it keeps them from falling out this side, because you can use this same black one for large and small, and I have it set up for the small side now. So go ahead and put that, get it locked in there, and now you just want to slide a few primers up. You can see if you look down in there, when I push the handle, the primer goes up to be seated. So turn that, I'll slide the case in there, I'll squeeze. You want to wear gloves when you do this, not gloves, but glasses when you do this, because primers can explode. So you eventually get the feel for it when the case is set right, when the primer is set in there right, and you'll know first off because you won't be able to slide it out of here. So that's the priming process. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this so since I'm not gonna load that many, now they can't fall out, and I'll put this up over here in this mess I've got going on. Next step, you're gonna want to measure and weigh. I'm going to fire this up so it's got time to. You want to let, however you do it, you might have a beam scale, you might have a traditional beam scale, you might have an electronic scale, or you can also have a powder measure, which I'm going to show you both. The process is of how much is up to the load you'll develop. So you want to get your Hornady, RCBS, a million other books out there, or you can just go to your powder manufacturer's website, look for the grain bullet you're going to be using, which I'm going to be using 115 grain Hornady Hap with tight group powders, one of my favorite loads. I've used this same load for years, and it's one of the most accurate loads I've ever made. So very common. I'm going to use 4 grains of tight group under 115 grain bullet. I use those with Extreme, Berries, any of the other bullet manufacturers. It's just a perfect combination. So 115.2, but that bullet's been weighing out all day, so I know the scale's right. Gonna try this one out, see what it says. 115.0. So the scale's got a small variation. I just got this scale. I haven't used it much, so I'm not gonna fully rely on this one until I get it calibrated. I just got it off eBay. Kind of wanted as off a whim, and I really didn't want it, but I bid on it and I want it, so I bought it anyways. Now, I'll show you about the powder measurer here. So this is the Hornady powder measure. Comes with the classic kit. If you're not completely sure how a powder measurer works, down here, this has got the pistol rotor in it. I bought that separate, so it can only throw a maximum of 17 grains of powder. So when you're using handgun loads, it's more accurate than the standard rotor that comes with it. It's got a lot bigger hole, the other one, so it can make a lot higher charges. But this one's more precision, so you can make finer loads. I can get that exact 4 grains I want pretty consistently out of this. So I've already got it set up for about 4 grains of powder, and I'll go ahead and show you. What you'll do is lift up the handle here. We'll see what she weighs. It's about 4.2 grains is what it threw there, 4.1. Now, if I didn't, I could twist this just ever so slightly back up so it's not pulling as much, but I'm going to go with, this is around 4 to 4.2 grains. My load is actually 4.2, so I'm okay with 4.0 to 4.2. That's fine for my load. Now, if you want to go more precise, you can. You could trickle in. You could have it throw 3.8, and then use a tool like this, a powder trickler. Just turn it, put powder in it, and then turn it. And with a more precise scale, and get the exact load you want, or you could use something like a Charge Master from RCBS. So now it says 4 grains. The big thing, you want to make sure you don't have any fans, electronics, or other things like that going in this process. That'll make it can throw off digital scales. I'm going to go ahead and dump this back in here. Let's pretend that I went ahead and put that in our case here. But I'm not going to because I'm distracted and I don't want to load up ammo when I'm distracted. I could make a mistake, so I'm just kind of showing you the process. So we got our 4 grains of powder in there. Normally I do that to all 50 rounds and then seat the bullet as I go. So back over to the press here, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have to get my shell holder back out of here real quick. So now so now the bullet is primed. The case mouth is belled open just ever so slightly. You have to get the hang of that. It's just barely enough to let the bullet sit on there comfortably. Primed, powder charged, and now it's time to set the bullet. Now, I'll put the bullet in there. This is one of the most difficult part of setting up a loading process is getting your bullet set and at the correct depth and crimped at the same time. So got the bullet in there. Go ahead and raise it up into the die. It's going to push down and crimp at the same time.
Researching the right mattress is exhausting. Why not do it in bed with the Casper 100 mattress?
Now I want to go ahead and make sure that it's at the specs that I have that caliper set at, or that die set at, which is 1.075. So it's a little off. Slight deviation like that I can live with for these rounds. I might adjust it more when I actually go to load these to see if I can get down, but when you're using a crimp die too, it kind of throws off a variation, and that is acceptable for me. So I know this round's okay. It's crimped good. It's not going to get caught, you know, if it's not going to hit on the feed ramp of the gun. So you're going to get a variation every single time I do this. So it depends on where I'm touching at the bottom, doing this one-handed. So it's another big thing with reloading. You always want to be not distracted. You don't want to have kids running around. You don't want to have TVs going in the background, trying to do other things. You want to try to stay as focused as you can on what you're doing, because this is, you know, you can ruin some expensive guns or ruin your hands for the rest of your life, not paying attention to what you're doing. So overall, I just kind of wanted to show the process. This round now is going to get pulled, and I'll use it. You see I've got a few other ones over here that I've made, getting just dummy rounds for when I was setting up my dies. So let's see what those are. Those should be right at 1.075, but nope, that one, that's the one. That one's junk. Let's see what this one is. This one should be right there. Yeah, okay, so it was, die was set up right at one point in time. I haven't loaded any of these rounds yet, so like I said, I just want to show you how clean brass without a tumbler or stainless tumbler, and what die set you'll need. Now, if you're going to be loading rifle, you'll need a case trimmer and a few other things. I don't load rifle right now, so I'm not going to speak on processes that I'm not completely familiar with. You'll need a reloading handbook or the interwebs there to get your load information. Let's see if I can put some more, kind of show what else. Case block, you don't have to have that, but it's nice to have. You need bullets and primers. So that's the process. That's my 9mm load, 4.0 grains of tight group at 1.075 with the HAPs. I believe my round nose, I'd have to look at my my sheets and see exactly what my typical round nose length is. But this is a great load. I love it. It's one of my favorite, and you can pick up about 500 of the HAP rounds for, I think, like $61. Like Cabela's, maybe cheaper somewhere else, which it definitely isn't the cheapest option out there, and you can buy a 9mm factory for cheaper than that. But I like this load. I know it's a very precise load. Tight group cleans. Burns a little dirty, but it's not that bad. It's a lot cleaner than some other powders, but it's definitely not as clean as VIT. So I have another load that I'm gonna work up with these, with VIT 3 and 3.7 and VIT 3 and 40 that I'll probably try to load up here in the next couple weeks. So that's the Hornady classic kit, kind of further explained in my reloading 9mm process. So I hope everyone enjoys. I'll try to make some more videos that are better staged with the camera, with the tripod and everything. But I kind of wanted to get in here and just show everybody the 9mm loading process. This isn't the same as 45, 40, and any of your other handgun rounds. You're going to be doing the exact same process, but your powder charges, your seating depth, and everything else is going to be different. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, and then we'll see you next time.